Nubians re-established their capital at Meroe. None of the other countries, such as Rome or Egypt, attempted to conquer Meroe, opting instead to maintain trade relations. Commerce in defensible terrain allowed Meroe to flourish, allowing Meroe to export such commodities such as gold, cotton, precious stones, ostrich feathers, ivory, and iron. Meroe was a unique civilization.
There isn't much written history on the roles of the Nubian women in the military because of the female pharaohs, but Nubian women were influential to the Egyptian army. The women were great at archery, so the Egyptian military used that to their advantage. Their presence as soldiers led to the spread of the Nubian culture in Egypt.
Brown skin, you know I love your brown skin. I can't tell where you're speaking.
I am a queen. I am a queen mother. I am a Nubian queen mother. I am royalty. I am a royal wife called Candaces from Kintakes. Categorized by my skin, the pigmentation of my skin. My skin so deep, so rich, so powerful, so strong, so dark. In Ethiopian, a nicer word for a burnt-faced person. How clever. But this skin, the skin that you see, is poised in grace and in dignity. Apparently, my skin has been kissed by the sun.
By 656, Islam expanded from Medina and Mecca to Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and North Africa. Islam's spread was accompanied by the spread of Arabian language and culture. Empires like those in Egypt and North Africa became destinations for other Africans. Muslim armies contributed to Islam's expansion into North Africa and Egypt, while Muslim traders and clerics contributed by spreading Islam into regions south of the Sahara. Many sub-Saharan Africans traveled to the Middle East and North Africa to make pilgrimage, to study, or to teach, which contributed to the spread of knowledge about the Islamic world.
Slavery was largely practiced within the Islamic world and gave no mercy to race. Slavic and Caucasian populations were the largest source of slaves for the Islamic world. Although the Quran prescribes a humanitarian approach to slavery, reality and theory most time merged together, and slaves were treated as property to be brought and sold as a source to grow the Islamic empire. Islamic believed that freedom was the natural condition of human beings, and only certain conditions, such as rejection of converting to Islam, allowed for slavery. In an ideal Islamic state, slaves were to be treated with dignity, kindness, and kept from being overly worked or punished. But yet again, slavery was a business within the Islamic empire.
In the Islamic world, the slave women, young and old, were concubines and sexually mistreated. They were kept in large harems, sexually exploited, and taken advantage of by the slaveholder. The women lived in an unstable environment. They always risked the chance of being sold for failure to have children, aging, and attempting to keep the slaveholder interested. Though it was illegal, there's also evidence that slave women were forced into prostitution. A slaveholder would occasionally marry a female slave. If this occurred, the female slave would have to be freed.
The struggle over the meaning of blackness in early Islamic society is seen in the poetry of The Crowds of the Arabs. This was a poem of the men during the pre-Islamic period and early Islamic periods, and also those who were not dark-skinned, but not necessarily of African ancestry. Africans were used as large laborers in large agricultural ventures and mining, such as in Iberia and India. Many of the Africans entered into India with the Islam movement. The sub-Saharan Africans greatly contributed to the ruling of free Africans and non-Africans to live normally, as well as how female and male slaves had their common positions. The separation in the Muslim view between the two groups of African and Europeans was after the 16th century when the trade in Europeans began to diminish as its counterparts in Africans continued. The Arab views of the Africans began to change drastically during the 7th and 8th century. Most Africans entered into Islamic lands as young females. The Arab views of Africans were first informed by African women. By the 18th century, there was a connection between sub-Saharan Africans and slavery in the Central Islamic lands, whereas the enslavement of Europeans had largely become a thing of the past, being confined to memories and books. One of the Muslim books, named the Quran, does not reference race at all. Color was not a significant factor to the people of Islam. Muhammad's life and his sending out of followers to seek asylum with Ethiopian rulers and followers showed that the impression of race was no barrier. Muslim societies became accustomed to seeing Africans as enslaved servants.